Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for joining me. Today is Thursday, July 4th, 2019, and I wanted to touch base with you guys. I've had some further conversation and I provided some updated content and formatting information to Ben North, the gentleman helping develop my website for me, and he's also provided some preliminary logo designs for my review and consideration, and so I'm starting to go down that path a little bit as well, identifying a logo that's going to represent me and my business, and so I'm going to be bringing you along with me for that. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so if you guys will recall, this was the first little layout that I provided to both Ben and the other gentleman I talked to in Chico to give some insights to the type of website and content and format that I was looking for. And this was exceedingly brief. Over the 2 pages, I have a total of 199 words over these two. And again, I've talked to you guys about my actual stringent intent to try and keep this somewhat succinct and very pointed in its content and information. But the product of the conversations I had with both Ben and Chico Designs is this is the follow-up one that I provided. This is now 7 pages long and has just over 2,100 words in it. And if you've watched my previous video looking over some of the templates, the stock templates that can be utilized for WordPress development, and some of the things that I just personally did and did not like about some of the options and different things that I saw within that, I got a good idea of what type of website it is that I'm looking for, some of the features it is I'm looking for within that. I provided that feedback to Ben, and he's been able to utilize that to come up with some kind of mock-up. Now, the content, and this is something I derived from my conversation with the gentleman at Chico Designs, the content of that, in terms of specifically some of the key words that are within that, and also the volume of that, is very crucial to the return value from a search engine. You want to try and have as many one of those. You try and keep that somewhat intuitive. If you think of somebody utilizing a search engine like Google, Bing, Yahoo, something of that nature, they might be putting in just a few words of a question that something is that they're looking for. Do you offer this? Can you accomplish that? Things of that nature. And you want to try and answer those questions within the content that you have within your website. So I was able to use keywords, buzzwords, things that I specifically and intentionally wanted to highlight in a few different areas and in a few different ways within my website to provide that. And also, and you'll see this once I start getting the mock-ups back from Ben of how this gets incorporated into the website. You'll see how, even though this is a lot of words all in just one page, it's spread well throughout and within the website itself over multiple pages, various links, different portions of the website. It's segregated by different, right there. There's photos in between or in the background in different areas, so it's not just quite this narrative that it looks like right now. But nonetheless, I did provide a lot of this. So just what I came up with several. I wanted my homepage to be something of a slideshow. The first thing that you see, have a few different options, so you wouldn't be seeing all this at once, but at least one part of that. And I provided just different things, different links to different parts of the web page that I conceptualized as we went further down this, from different services that I offer and which ones I wanted highlighted, how I wanted those to be described, different building and construction types and industries that I can tailor to and things of that nature. Obviously, your customer base and your industry are going to have perhaps different variables or varieties within them. Maybe you are only targeting a certain one of them. Perhaps you're wanting to clarify, as I did, the point that you're not limited to any one versus the other. Something that was added after the formats, the templates that I reviewed, was some core values. I actually found that to be a very interesting little feature within a website, because it does say a lot about your business, how you conduct business, why you conduct business, some of the values that you hold. And I found that to be interesting and useful, and I did want to project that, so I incorporated that as well. Identified some of those and what those are, so that can be reviewed rather easily. Another page I have is about my company, who we are, what we do, how we service you. And while this is not my services page, it is a supplement to the services we offer, the expertise, or at least the advantage to the team and the resources that we have, that our customers and clients have to benefit from that. And I was able to explain that within this page, and also provide links to other pages that do provide perhaps the service or how they can contact me about that service and things of that nature. So as you can see, this got substantially greater in length and heavier in its content for these reasons. And from my understanding and what I have learned throughout this process is that this is going to benefit my website quite greatly. I've made sure these are a bunch of acronyms that are within this, but there are a lot of different entities, agencies, things of that nature that I was quite sure to make sure to note. Some of them being that I work with AISC certified and NOMA certified fabricators. That is something that's something outside of my industry means nothing, but within my industry means an awful lot, that I can reference, that I in fact utilize people that are certified by these agencies and organizations, which is somewhat reflective or indicative of their quality and capabilities. And you may want to be able to do the same. Other things that I reference is, and I don't want to give you just a wealth of acronyms, but that's pretty much what it is for me, because there are so many, is DBIA, Design Build Institute of America, AGC, the Associated General Contractors, things of that nature. I only bring this to your attention because depending on what type of business it is that you have, what kind of industry it is that you're working within, these are things that you may seriously want to consider, that you want to project in the limited opportunity you have within your website, that you do work with, you are certified by, or associated with some of these agencies that support and substantiate your qualifications and your capabilities of your business. So my services one is where I really try and get most in depth. It is segregated by the different services that I have, so it's not too terribly lengthy, in my opinion, depending on which one it is that you're looking at. Of course, if you want to review all of them, those options are made available as well. But I did not want to shortcut the description of the services and qualifications of my business and what it is that we offer. So I kind of made this the strongest point of providing the narratives on my services page. I have value engineering, budgeting and estimating, scheduling, and procurement and planning as the different sections or subsections of my services page. Yours will obviously be different. Perhaps you don't even provide service, but rather a good. Maybe you have e-commerce, right? So you can take and process orders online through your inventory. Perhaps you have inventory tracking or scheduling capabilities within your website, things of that nature. But nonetheless, the only reason I wanted to kind of bring this up to your attention is to how much greater in length and content it is that I provided to this, is that the feedback that I got from Ben, and I found this to be interesting. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I just want you to know this and take this into serious consideration. When I sent this to Ben as an aid or a supplement to his development efforts, his response was that he almost never gets a copy of this quality, which is the content, right? Quick insert, plug and play, with companies that don't have in-house marketing. He said this will go a long way to getting your site ranked and rather quickly. And I do hope and believe that is true. Only time will tell. But this is just as all different phases of this process is. This is somewhat reflective of the time that you are capable of or do put into this. It's going to get kind of your return quality. And so Ben is used to and was very willing, and I think that was a big reason why my conversation with him was such a two-way conversation. He was trying to learn as much about my business and our capabilities and our services, because he was expecting he was going to have to draft a lot of this in for me. He had the meeting with me to try and interpret what it is that we do, what it is we want to project, and he was going to try and come up with that around just building and formatting the website itself. So I was, at least the quality of the content that was going to be within that, I would have been subject to whatever was in his mind or of my opinion. And I tried to cut to the chase by providing a lot of that to him. So it would be something to seriously consider for yourself, to try and do the same. Try and provide as much as that to them. Someone who's developing your website for you, since you know your business and your intentions, your values, your services, things of that nature. Try and stay in the loop, have involvement, provide content and feedback to them as to what it is that you want projected, because otherwise you're going to be getting what it is that comes to their mind and opinion of you and what you were able to convey in the time that you had. Now, there is another option that I have failed to mention to this point. It's something that we haven't discussed or reviewed, and I do think that it's pertinent, it's necessary, and beneficial that we do discuss that. Obviously, my route has been to employ a web developer to design, create, and establish my website for me, but you don't necessarily need that. There are options, there are ways to create and provide your own website. You can adjust all of the features within it, and you can upload photos to it, this, that, and the other thing. I'll admit my sister is also an entrepreneur, sole proprietor of a business, and she's done this and quite successfully so. So I discussed with her a little bit about it, and I do want to bring this option to your attention as well. One of the websites in which you can do this is called Wix.com. There are several of them out there. This is one of them that you can use, and as you can read from there, it's a free, quote-unquote free website builder, in the sense that you are not paying somebody to build, provide, format your website for you. Now, you will nonetheless still have to pay for the domain name. You will still have to pay for hosting of the website. You will still have to pay for these services on an annual basis and things of that nature. And Wix.com will even streamline all that for you. You can just utilize this website right here to make those purchases. They will host it for you, and you can just pay them on your annual basis. But they have a multitude of templates that you can choose from, that you can review, much like what we went through looking through the WordPress options through Avada and Jupiter X and the other ones and things of that nature. And you can just start inserting some of your own content, right? This would be actually you writing this out and putting that in there. You can move pictures around, you can change sizes, you can adjust the features that are within that. You can have, just reading this right here, you can start your own blog, you can do e-commerce, an online store. I know you can do a calendar and scheduling app within that. So if you are a service provider in which schedule is really important, like if you're, I don't know, do catering for weddings or things of that nature, your customers can go online, see your availability, and book you right then and there, things of that nature. And this is all totally free. You can come up with it. You can build it yourself. This is a really cool option. You can use just some of your own discretion in the type of words that you use, like the Word document I provided to Ben for some of the written narratives that I want provided within my website that I think are going to utilize a return value for search engines. You can do that yourself, and you're not employing a third party to do this for you. There's a lot of very cool options you can do. If you're somewhat creative and hands-on, maybe even artistic, if you take a lot of photos, things of that nature, this could be a very good option for you. I know just at random, there are some businesses like hair salons and things like that use websites like this. If you're constantly uploading content, in their example, if they do new hairstyles, new haircuts, new coloring, things like that, they snap photos. It's very simple for them to go into this and just add it to their gallery, make it one of their home shots or things of that nature. So it gives you a lot more control. Not that you necessarily lack that with a developer, but you might know your own website and be more accountable for its content inside and out if you utilize something like Wix.com to develop your own. So I did want to bring this to your attention, make you aware of that. Right here, they can even help you with creating your own logo. They offer that service. So there's different fonts, formats, colors, different things you can use to try and come up with something that represents you and yourself. It works well with mobile. So obviously your cell phone, perhaps your tablet, if you use that for taking videos, such as I am now, if you're taking a lot of pictures with that and you want to upload that to your gallery, doing e-commerce, you can read this for yourself. But do know that this is an option for you. It's something that can and should be seriously considered based on the type of website that perhaps you need. Or perhaps even the time that you have to afford towards this. It is a very viable and useful option there, so I did want to bring that to your attention. Now, something that was stated earlier and even brought up in that example there is logo. I told you that Ben did, in fact, provide me with some samples. He came through with that this week, which I very much appreciated, and he provided 4 for me. And this was just through one of the developers that he utilizes and works with closely. And I'm going to clarify this a little bit. This is commonly done overseas. Domestic graphic designers are very expensive, and to that point, they're very high in quality. But for something as simple as my business's logo and things like that, Ben Cannon does utilize overseas graphic designers to try and get this at such a minimal cost. He'll even provide them preliminarily to me for free, and that's what he's done here. So at least going through the 4 that I've received, and he did ask me previous to this if I had any kind of color schemes in mind. I told him I kind of don't. I had maybe a yellow and some kind of dark gray, maybe a blue or dark gray in mind. Clearly they ran with the blue and dark gray, and this is what I've received thus far. So this is the first option that I've received. Not bad at all. But I have the other 3 to review and consider as well. This one has a transparent background. Nothing to it, but both of them have my full title in there. This one just has SP at the front. There's this option right here, and we're going to come back and discuss this later. This one's kind of cool. This was, of the 4, I think the one my wife likes the most. And I like the background of this with all the steel and the building that's in that. And this is the last one of Steel Professionals Consulting Group, again, with a transparent background there, nothing too terribly specific to it. Now, I personally was hoping that one of these, any of these examples that were provided, I would just kind of have an immediate connection with, it would be drawn to it and would like that. I can't say that I did with any of these 4. I can't even think of minor adjustments in terms of just like the font or the formatting and the color scheme that I would make adjustments to, that maybe then I would start to like it. Not that I hate these. I do want to clarify that as well. I think these are very high quality and they're appreciated examples. It's just I don't have any kind of attachment to it that I was hoping to have maybe out of the gate that would ease my decision on the direction I'm going to go with this. But I do have a solution to that, and I'm going to be showing you that as well. But I'm going to go back to this one right here, and I want you to kind of keep this in your mind. So this one's circular, obviously, and has the Steel Professionals and Consulting Group in the outer ring, and in the middle it says SPC. And take note of even the font of the SP and C that's in the middle of that. This is a very legitimate option. I very much appreciate this, but I do have one problem with it, and I'm going to explain that to you now. There's an organization called the AISC, that is the American Institute of Steel Construction. That is kind of the governing organization. They even produce documents, I believe every other year, called the Code of Standard Practices. So they write, publish, and dictate standard practice code for steel construction. They're a pretty big to-do in that industry. My point with this is that I want to show you, this is their logo right here, and it is quite distinct. And it is very similar to that third option that was provided to me. From a professional standpoint, I feel like it would be inappropriate for me to match their logo as closely as this one is. This one's going to be easily recognized and well understood from anybody within the industry that I'm working within, and so to try and mirror that to even some extent, I feel would be of a detriment and unprofessional, and for that reason alone, I'm discounting that as an option. And I just did want to bring that to your attention and show you why that was. That's something that you may run or into yourself there. So anyways, those are the options that were provided. I very much appreciated. Came through in a pretty short time frame, but none of them really had this grasp of my attention that I wanted. But interestingly enough, it did kind of spark something in my mind where I started thinking, and there are a few different factors to logos that should be universal, and I want to discuss those and also show you what I came up with for myself in light of that information. So some of the things that I've learned and been instructed about logos and its criteria and what you should be having or looking for within that is that it ought to be simple in both its design and in its color scheme. That should make it very easily replicated and easily identified and recognized for your company. It's your brand, and it's identified to you. So some of the examples I can provide of that, so very, very big name companies that I'm going to be using is, first and foremost, let's look at Apple, right? Everybody knows who Apple is. It's been around for quite some time. They're exceedingly successful, have a lot of money, and yet their logo is exceedingly simple, and their color scheme is is also exceedingly simple. It is just the apple with the stem at the top and one bite out of it. It's black and white. And everybody can and will identify this. They know the brand. Can be easily applied to any of the products that they produce as the logo that represents them and their business, and it's very effective. Even just looking at this clip art option, or this cartoon option, there's so many different ways that they could have gone, and so many different ways they could have overthought the complexity of having this design for their logo, and yet this very simplistic one that they've had is so very effective in representing their business. And you want to try and mirror that. Another option is Microsoft. Theirs is one square made up of 4 squares of different colors. That is not too terribly exciting if you were thinking about sitting in a boardroom pitching this particular idea to a group of millionaires or billionaires, right? But it's very effective, and it's in its simplicity, and it's easily identified, and its representation of the company. Again, this is something that can be applied to any of the products that they produce, and represents them quite easily. So here's another very simplistic yet very effective logo design used by a very large business. Next is Amazon. And if you were trying to think of Amazon, if you consider their business model, even their history, thinking about going from selling books to just the vast inventory of different services and products that they offer now, you could really get lost in trying to come up with what it is that you want to convey that business and what it is that they do, and fonts, colors, things of that nature. And yet look what they've come up with, and how very recognized it is, how very simple it is to be reproduced. They have the smile in there with also the arrow, giving the idea of their delivery service, and the kind of emotional reaction you're going to have to that being positive. And yet it just says Amazon. It's very simple. It's not bright in its colors. It's not very bold or in your face. It's not cartoony. It's not artistic, I guess you could say, in a negative sense, but it's very effective. FedEx as well. They have 2 color scheme. It just says FedEx. They have their little embedded. There is the arrow that's produced between the E and the X. It's right there that most people don't notice. It's a fun little tidbit about their logo, but yet again, it's very simple. It's on all of their boxes. It's on all of their trucks. It's easily identified. It's very effective. Not to beat this horse to death, but Nike. Nike is a very large, long-standing business. It's very successful, and theirs is basically a check mark. But yet again, it's very effective in representing who they are. A few more examples. McDonald's is a big yellow M, sometimes with a big red bar at the bottom of that. But I hope this has proven the point that your logo itself need not be too terribly complicated, and in a lot of ways is more effective when it's not. So with that in mind, and trying to follow my own advice, I wanted to keep with something that was simple, and I did come up with at least something that did jump into my own mind, trying to keep it simple. For whatever reason, kind of this tiered 3-bar logo thing just resonated with me. And that just happened today as I was reviewing these 4 different options that Ben sent me. And so I couldn't quite figure out exactly how it was I wanted to be incorporated. So you're seeing the full extent of my artistic ability represented in this photo that I took right here from a sketch pad I pulled out. But yet, this is very simple. It's 3 bars at 3 different levels, stacked with each other, and then it just has the name of my company. Now, I haven't yet determined or decided on a color scheme, whether that's going to have some blues or yellows, grays, or blacks in it. At this point, I would almost like to see where these graphic designers can take my concepts and run with it, see what they can come back with me, what I may actually settle on and enjoy. But this is what I came up with. Discussing this internally and with my wife, I think option 3, I'm curious to know, and I'd ask that you all would please comment on the posting of this video what your favorite options are. Both of the 4 that I've already received from professionals of this, and this 3 here that I'm producing here. But this very last one, where the S, P, and C are within those 3 bars that are touching, is kind of my favorite. So I'm going to be giving this feedback back to Ben that, hey, this is something I've come up with. You guys are the artists. Take this into consideration, see what you can come up with, shoot it back, and we'll kind of go from there. But again, the point is this can be easily replicated. This can be made a sticker, a logo. This can be put on a shirt, a hat, the side of a pickup. This could be put on a business card. This is going to be on my website. It's simple, be recreated. It's going to be remembered. It's going to identify and kind of segregate in your mind my business with this logo and what it is. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stand out. And that's what I think it's going to do. And it's not going to be crazy or ornate by any stretch of the imagination. So those are some things to consider. Hopefully you are at or at some point have the opportunity to reach this same stage where you're thinking critically about how your company is going to be represented both online with your website and also through your logo. Thank you for sticking with me. I really hope that you enjoyed or learned something about this video. As always, if you should or do have any questions or comments whatsoever, I would encourage you to post those or add those to the posting of this video. Please do subscribe. Please do tell others that you think might enjoy or benefit or have any kind of critical feedback for me that I would appreciate of this process, what we're going through. Please do stick around, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much.